The afternoon light falls gently through the windows of the old house, casting long, soft shadows across the hallway floor. The air inside is still and quiet, holding the warmth of the day in a way that feels comfortable and familiar and safe. There is no hurry in this moment, no need to move quickly or think about what comes next, or worry about anything beyond this present breathing space of time. The house breathes slowly around me, settling into its own quiet rhythm as the hours pass by, without urgency or concern or any sense that something should be different from what it is right now. The walls around me are painted in soft colors that have faded over the years, becoming gentler and more muted with time, like watercolors left in the sun. The paint shows small cracks here and there, fine lines that trace delicate patterns across the surface, like the quiet veins in a leaf or the tributaries of a slow river seen from high above. These imperfections do not trouble me or call for my attention in any urgent way. They are simply part of the house, part of its long history and its gentle character, marks of time that tell their story without needing words or explanation. I stand at the bottom of the narrow staircase that leads upward, looking at the worn wooden steps that disappear into the dimness above. These stairs have always been here, tucked away in the corner of the upper hallway, leading to a place I have not visited in a very long time. The banister is smooth under my hand, polished by years and years of touch, countless hands sliding along its length, and the wood feels cool and solid beneath my palm, reassuring in its steadiness. I can feel the grain of the wood, the slight variations in texture that speak of the tree it once was, the forests where it grew tall and patient, the hands that shaped it into this form, planing and sanding and fitting it into place. I place one foot on the first step, and it creaks softly under my weight. The sound is gentle and familiar, a quiet announcement that seems to belong to the house itself, as much a part of it as the walls and the windows and the soft air that fills each room. The creak is not alarming or harsh. It is simply the house speaking, the wood settling and responding to my presence, acknowledging that I am here. I pause with my foot on that first step, listening to the way the sound lingers for a brief moment in the stillness, before fading away into the soft silence that surrounds everything. There is something deeply comforting in this small sound, and the way the house communicates with its creaks and groans, the way it announces my presence without alarm or concern or any sense of intrusion. I am welcome here, and the house knows me, and I know the house, and we exist together in this quiet mutual understanding that requires no words or gestures or explanations. This understanding is built from years of being in this space, of walking these floors, and touching these walls and breathing this air. It is an understanding that lives in the body more than in the mind, a sense of rightness and belonging that cannot be explained, but only felt. I begin to climb slowly, placing one foot after the other on each step in turn, feeling the way each one responds with its own particular sound. Some steps creak more than others. Some are silent. Each has its own character, its own voice in the quiet symphony of the house. I climb without hurry, letting each step take as long as it needs to take, not rushing toward the top, but simply moving through the space between the bottom and the top, existing fully in each moment of ascent. With every step upward, the light from the hallway below grows dimmer, softer, more distant. The air begins to change around me, becoming cooler and stiller, taking on a different quality than the air in the rooms below. It is not an unpleasant coolness, nothing that makes me shiver or feel uncomfortable. It is simply a gentle shift in temperature, a soft cooling that seems to wrap around me like a light blanket, settling on my skin with a touch that is barely there, but somehow comforting in its quiet presence. The house feels larger here on the stairs, more spacious in its silence, as though the attic holds its own world separate from the rooms below, a world with its own rules and rhythms and ways of being. Halfway up the stairs I pause and rest my hand on the banister, feeling the smooth grain of the wood beneath my fingers. Through a small window set into the wall beside me, I can see the sky outside, still holding the soft amber light of late afternoon. The quality of the light is gentle and warm, the kind of light that makes everything it touches seem softer and more beautiful. The trees beyond the house stand motionless, their leaves barely stirring in the gentle air that moves so slowly it can hardly be called wind. Everything outside is as calm as everything inside, and there is a feeling of balance and harmony, a sense of things being exactly as they should be, perfectly aligned with the moment and the season and the slow turning of the day toward evening. I take a slow breath, drawing the air deep into my lungs, and the air tastes faintly of old paper, and something sweet and woody, perhaps the cedar that lines the walls of the attic or the aging books that rest on shelves in the dimness above. The scent is pleasant and familiar, evoking memories that are not quite formed into images or thoughts, but exist instead as feelings. Impressions of other times when I stood in similar quiet spaces and breathed similar air, and felt the same sense of peace settling over me like a gentle weight. I continue climbing, taking my time, moving from step to step with careful attention to the feeling of each footfall, the sound of each creak, the way my hand slides along the banister. The stairs curve slightly as they rise, following the shape of the house, and soon I reach the top. Before me is the door to the attic, a heavy wooden door with an old iron latch that shows the dark patina of age. The door is painted a soft, faded white, and the paint has chipped away in places, revealing the darker wood beneath, creating a pattern that looks almost intentional, almost artistic in its randomness. I reach for the latch and lift it slowly, feeling its weight and the way it resists slightly before giving way. It clicks softly, a sound that seems to echo for just a moment in the stillness before fading into silence. The echo is gentle and brief, like a small stone dropped into a deep well, the sound rippling outward and then disappearing into the vastness. I push the door open with steady pressure, and it swings inward without resistance, revealing the space beyond. The attic is filled with soft, golden light that seems almost to glow from within. A circular window set high in the far wall lets in the afternoon sun, and the light streams through in a single broad beam that cuts through the dimness of the room like a path or a bridge. The light illuminates millions of tiny dust motes that drift and turn slowly in the air, moving in gentle currents that I cannot feel but can see in the way they dance and swirl. Each mote catches the light and becomes a tiny point of brightness, a small star suspended in the stillness of the room. They move without purpose or direction, rising and falling in lazy spirals, following invisible currents of air that flow through the space in patterns that shift and change so slowly that they seem almost still. I step inside the attic and close the door gently behind me, letting it settle into its frame with a soft click of the latch. The floor beneath my feet is made of wide wooden planks, smooth and slightly uneven with age, worn down by the passage of time and the weight of things stored and moved and rearranged over the years. The planks creak softly as I walk, creating a rhythmic sound that accompanies each step I take. The sound is musical in its own way, a simple melody that plays beneath my footsteps, marking my passage through the space. The attic is larger than I remember, stretching out in both directions beneath the sloping roof. The ceiling follows the line of the roof, rising to a peak in the center where the two slopes meet, and then sloping down on either side toward the walls. The beams are exposed, thick and dark with age, rough-hewn and massive, solid presences that hold up the roof and divide the space into sections. These beams cast long shadows across the floor, dark lines that stretch and bend with the angle of the light, creating patterns that shift subtly as the sun moves slowly across the sky outside. The air here is different from the air in the rest of the house. It is cooler and stiller, more settled, as though it has been resting here undisturbed for a very long time. It carries scents that seem to belong to another time, another era of the house's long life. There is the sweet smell of aged paper, brittle and yellow and fragile with time. There is the faint mustiness of old fabric, cloth that has been folded and stored and left to rest in the darkness. There is the clean, woody scent of cedar, the wood that lines some of the walls and fills some of the chests, keeping moths away and lending its distinctive aroma to everything it touches. These smells blend together into something that feels familiar and comforting, a reminder of days that have passed but are not forgotten, a connection to the past that exists not in memories but in the very air I breathe. I breathe in slowly, filling my lungs with this scented air, letting it settle inside me and spread through my chest. The act of breathing becomes something more than just a bodily function. It becomes a way of taking in the history of the place, of absorbing the years and the stories and the quiet presence of all the things that have rested here. I hold the breath for a moment, feeling the way it fills me, and then I release it slowly, letting it flow out of me and back into the stillness of the room. The rhythm of breathing becomes a kind of meditation, a slow and steady pulse that connects me to the space and to the moment and to the deep quiet that surrounds everything. I move slowly into the room, my eyes adjusting to the soft light that fills the space. All around me are the remnants of the past, objects and belongings that have been placed here over the years and left to rest in the quiet. There are boxes stacked against the walls, some made of cardboard that has gone soft and brown with age, others made of old wood that is dark and solid and heavy. The boxes are of different sizes and shapes, and they are stacked in irregular towers that lean slightly, held up by the walls and by each other. There are trunks with brass latches, their surfaces covered in a fine layer of dust that dulls their shine and softens their outlines. There are old lamps with glass shades and picture frames that show faces I do not recognize, but feel a strange kinship with. There are books piled in uneven stacks, their spines showing titles that are faded and hard to read in the dim light. There are pieces of furniture draped in white sheets that glow softly in the light from the window, transforming ordinary shapes into something mysterious and ghostly and beautiful. I walk toward the center of the room, where the light is brightest, where the beam from the window cuts most directly through the air. The dust motes continue their slow dance around me, and I watch them for a long moment, fascinated by their gentle movement. They seem to exist in a world of their own, untouched by time or worry, or any of the concerns that occupy the world below. They drift endlessly in the stillness, rising and falling, turning and spiraling, following the invisible currents of air with a grace that is entirely unconscious and entirely perfect. I reach out my hand and let it pass slowly through the beam of light, and the motes swirl gently around my fingers, disturbed by my presence, but not alarmed, simply adjusting their paths and continuing their dance. I hold my hand in the light for a moment, watching the way the dust swirls and settles, and then I lower my hand and let the motes return to their previous patterns, their previous rhythms. To my left, I see a rocking horse standing near the wall, patient and still in the shadows. It is made of wood, painted in colors that were once bright and cheerful, but have faded over the years to softer, more muted tones. The horse is small, the size it would need to be for a child, and it stands on curved rockers that rest flat against the floor. The wood of the rockers is worn smooth where countless small feet would have pushed against the ground, setting the horse in motion. I walk over to it slowly, crossing the creaking floorboards with care, and I place my hand gently on the horse's neck. The wood is smooth and cool beneath my palm, worn down by years and years of touch, by small hands holding on and letting go, by the passage of time itself. The paint on the horse is cracked in places, showing the darker wood beneath, and there are small chips and scratches that tell stories I can only imagine. I give the horse a gentle push, applying just enough pressure to set it in motion, and it begins to rock back and forth on its curved runners. The movement is slow and steady, a gentle back and forth that creates a rhythmic creaking sound. The creak is soft and soothing, like a lullaby without words, like the sound of a cradle or a porch swing moving in the breeze. I watch the horse rock for a long time, following its movement with my eyes, listening to the sound it makes, feeling something in me begin to relax and soften in response to this simple, repetitive motion. The horse rocks and rocks back and forth, the sound filling the quiet of the attic with its gentle rhythm. Slowly, gradually, the movement begins to slow as the momentum fades, and eventually the horse comes to rest again, standing motionless as it was before, patient and still and waiting. Near the rocking horse is a small wooden crate, old and weathered, with iron corners that are rusty and rough. I kneel down beside it, lowering myself slowly to the floor, feeling the coolness of the wooden planks through my clothes. Inside the crate are toys, simple and well-worn, objects that speak of play and childhood, and the passage of time. There is a set of wooden blocks, each one carefully carved and sanded smooth, solid and heavy in my hand. The blocks are different sizes and shapes, some square, some rectangular, some triangular, and they fit together in ways that invite building and stacking and creating. I pick up one block and turn it over in my hands, feeling its weight and solidity, running my fingers along its smooth edges and flat surfaces. There is a stuffed bear in the crate, old and soft and much loved. The bear has button eyes that shine dimly in the light, and its body is faded and worn, the fabric thin in places where it has been held and carried and hugged. One of the bear's ears is slightly torn, and some of the stuffing has escaped, giving it a lopsided appearance that is somehow endearing. I pick up the bear and hold it gently, feeling how light it is, how soft and yielding. The bear's body compresses under my touch, the old stuffing inside shifting and settling, and when I release it, the body slowly returns to its original shape. I bring the bear close and notice that it still carries a faint scent, something sweet and dusty and old, perhaps talcum powder or lavender, or simply the accumulated smell of years spent in this quiet attic. There is a tin car in the crate as well, painted a bright red that has dulled to a softer shade over the years. The car is small and simple, with wheels that still turn when I roll it gently across the floor. The wheels make a soft clicking sound as they turn, metal on metal, a sound that is surprisingly clear in the stillness. I roll the car back and forth a few times, watching the wheels spin, listening to the clicking, and then I place it back in the crate with the blocks and the bear. I pick up each object in the crate slowly, one at a time, turning them over in my hands, feeling their weight and texture, noticing the small details that make each one unique. There is a wooden spinning top with faded painted stripes, a small cloth doll with a simple embroidered face, a set of metal jacks with a small red ball, a harmonica that is tarnished and silent. These are things that once brought joy, that were held and played with and loved. They rest here now in the quiet, patient and still, waiting for nothing in particular, simply existing in this space, holding their place in the long history of the house. I stand again slowly, using one hand on the edge of the crate to push myself up, feeling the stiffness in my knees from kneeling. The attic is full of these small moments of discovery, these quiet encounters with objects from the past. I move deeper into the space, walking slowly along the sloping walls, letting my eyes wander over the shapes and shadows that fill the room. There are shelves built into the walls, simple boards nailed between the beams, and they are filled with more objects, more remnants of the past. There are glass jars on the shelves, some empty and some containing things, buttons and marbles and small trinkets that catch the light in interesting ways. I pick up one jar filled with marbles and hold it up to the light from the window. The marbles inside are beautiful, small spheres of glass in different colors and patterns, some clear, some opaque, some swirled with ribbons of color that spiral through the glass like frozen smoke. The light passes through the marbles and scatters into small rainbows that dance across my hand and the wall beside me. I turn the jar slowly, watching the way the light shifts and changes, creating new patterns with each small movement. There are old clocks on the shelves, their faces showing different times, their hands frozen at random hours. Some of the clocks are wooden, some are metal, some have glass faces, and some have faces made of painted paper. None of them tick anymore. They are all silent, stopped at different moments in the past, marking times that no longer matter, hours and minutes that have long since passed. I reach out and touch one of the clocks, running my finger along its smooth face, feeling the slight raised surface of the numerals. The clock is cool and still beneath my touch, a silent witness to the passage of time, no longer participating but still present, still keeping its place on the shelf. There are boxes of photographs on the shelves as well, old pictures in black and white and faded color, their edges yellowed and soft with age. I do not take the photographs out or look at them closely. I simply acknowledge their presence, These images of people and places and moments that are now part of the past, preserved here in this quiet attic, resting alongside all the other remnants and memories. I run my fingers along the edge of one of the shelves, and they come away gray with dust. The dust is soft and fine like powder, and it clings to my skin in a thin layer. I wipe my hand on my clothes, leaving a faint smudge, and I continue walking, continuing my slow exploration of the space. In the corner of the room, tucked beneath the lowest part of the sloping roof, I find a trunk that is larger than the others. It is made of dark wood with metal corners and a heavy lid, the kind of trunk that was once used for long journeys, for travel by ship or train to distant places. The wood is scratched and dented, marked by the years and the miles it has traveled, and the metal corners are worn smooth by handling. I kneel down in front of the trunk and lift the latch, a simple metal clasp that clicks open with a satisfying sound. The lid is heavy, and I lift it slowly, feeling the weight of it, hearing the soft creak of the hinges as it rises. Inside the trunk are textiles, layers and layers of fabric folded carefully and stacked one on top of the other. There are quilts and blankets, some made of wool and some of cotton, some patterned and some plain. The top layer is a quilt made of small squares of cloth, each one a different color and pattern, stitched together with careful hands into a larger whole. The stitching is fine and even, the work of someone who took pride in their craft, who spent long hours piecing together these scraps of fabric into something beautiful and useful and lasting. I lift the quilt out of the trunk slowly, feeling its weight in my hands. It is heavier than I expected, dense with batting and fabric, and the accumulated years of its existence. I unfold it carefully, spreading it out across my lap, and I see the full pattern of the quilt, the way the colors and shapes come together to create a design that is both random and intentional. The fabric is soft and worn, thinned in some places by use and time, and it smells faintly of lavender, as though it has been kept with sachets or dried flowers to preserve it and keep it fresh. I hold the quilt in my hands for a long moment, feeling the texture of the fabric, noticing the small variations in the stitching, the places where the thread has pulled slightly or where patch has been added to repair a worn spot. This quilt has a history, a story that I can only guess at, a life that extends back through the years to the hands that made it and the bodies it warmed and the beds it covered. I feel a sense of connection to this history, a sense of being part of a long chain of people who have lived in this house and slept under this quilt and found comfort in its warmth. I fold the quilt again slowly, matching the creases to their original lines, and I place it back in the trunk with care. Beneath it are more layers of fabric, more quilts and blankets, each one with its own story and its own purpose. I do not disturb them. I simply acknowledge their presence and close the lid of the trunk gently, letting it settle back into place with a soft thud. Beside the trunk is a small table, a simple wooden table with 3 legs and a round top. The table is scarred and worn, its surface marked by water rings and scratches and the accumulated wear of years of use. On the table is a box, wooden and rectangular, with a hinged lid and a small brass clasp. I reach out and open the box carefully, lifting the lid to reveal what is inside. The box is filled with marbles, a whole collection of them, dozens and dozens of small glass seers in every color imaginable. They rest together in a jumbled pile, clicking softly against each other as I lift the lid. I reach in and pick up a handful, feeling their weight in my palm, feeling the way they roll and shift against each other. They are cool and smooth, perfectly round, each one a small work of art. Some are clear, with ribbons of blue or green or red swirling through them. Others are opaque, solid colors like cream or yellow or deep blue. Still others have complex patterns inside, spirals and swirls and dots of color that seem to float in the transparent glass. I hold them up to the light from the window, one at a time, watching the way the light passes through them or reflects off their surfaces. The colors glow from within, bright and pure, as vivid now as they must have been when these marbles were new. I turn them slowly in my fingers, examining each one, appreciating the beauty and craft that went into making them. They are simple objects, toys meant for playing games, but they are also beautiful in their simplicity, in the way they capture light and color in such a small, perfect form. I spend a long time with the marbles, picking them up one by one, holding them to the light, placing them back in the box. The act is meditative, repetitive, soothing. There is no goal or purpose to it beyond the simple pleasure of holding these beautiful objects, of seeing the way they catch the light, of feeling their cool smoothness against my skin. Eventually I place the last marble back in the box and close the lid gently, letting the clasp click shut. The light in the attic is beginning to change now, I notice. The golden glow of afternoon is softening, taking on a slightly different quality as the sun moves lower in the sky. The beam from the window is still bright, but it is shifting, the angle changing gradually, the shadows on the floor growing longer and reaching in different directions. The dust motes continue their slow dance in the light, but they seem softer now, less distinct, as though they too are beginning to settle into the approaching evening. I walk over to the circular window and look out at the world beyond the house. The sky is still bright, still holding the light of day, but the blue has deepened slightly, and there is a warmth to the light that suggests the sun is beginning its descent toward the horizon. The trees outside are still motionless, their leaves hanging quiet and undisturbed in the calm air. I can see the roof tops of other houses in the distance, their shapes soft and indistinct in the golden light. Smoke rises from one chimney in a straight thin line, barely visible against the sky. Everything outside is as peaceful as everything inside, the world settling into the quiet rhythm of late afternoon, that special time between the activity of the day and the rest of the evening. I turn away from the window and continue my slow exploration of the attic, moving from one area to another, pausing to touch and observe, letting each object reveal itself in its own time. There is no hurry, no pressure to see everything or understand everything. I am simply here, present in this space, allowing the attic to unfold around me at its own pace. I find a stack of old books leaning against one wall, their covers faded and their spines cracked with age and use. The books are different sizes and thicknesses, some small and some large, some bound in cloth and some in leather. I pick one up carefully and open it, hearing the slight crackle of the old paper as the cover lifts. The pages are yellowed and brittle, the edges soft and irregular where they have been handled over the years. The print is small and dense, set in a typeface that seems old-fashioned to my eyes, and the paper has a slight musty smell that is not unpleasant. I do not try to read the words on the page. I simply turn the pages slowly, one after another, listening to the soft rustle of paper, feeling the texture of each page beneath my fingers, noticing the way the light falls across the text and creates shadows in the creases where the pages meet the spine. The act of turning pages becomes its own kind of meditation, a slow and rhythmic movement that requires no thought or analysis, just a simple physical action of lifting one page and letting it fall, revealing the next. After a time, I close the book gently and place it back on the stack. I notice a box nearby, a cardboard box that has gone soft with age, and I lift the lid to see what is inside. The box contains letters, old correspondence tied together with ribbons that have lost their color and gone limp with time. The envelopes are addressed in flowing handwriting, the kind of penmanship that seems to belong to another era, and the stamps in the corners are old and faded, showing images and denominations that are no longer in use. I do not untie the ribbons or open the letters. They are private things, words written from one person to another, messages that were never meant for my eyes. I simply hold one bundle in my hands, feeling the weight of the paper, imagining the person who wrote these words, the person who received them, the stories they contain. There is a tenderness in this, a sense of connection to people I will never know, lives that were lived fully and completely, and that now exist only in these faded words on old paper. I place the letters back in the box and close the lid carefully, giving them the privacy they deserve. I move on to other discoveries, other quiet encounters with the past. There is a dresser against one wall, its drawers slightly open, as though someone started to close them, but was interrupted and never finished the task. I pull one of the drawers out further, feeling the slight resistance of old wood on old wood, and I look inside. The drawer contains small items, odds and ends, that seem to have no particular connection to each other, things that were placed here because they needed a home, and this drawer provided one. There are buttons of various sizes and colors, some plain and some decorative, some made of plastic and some of metal or bone. There are coins, old pennies, and nickels and dimes with dates I can barely read in the dim light. There is a broken pocket watch, its face cracked, and its hands stopped at 3:20, the time of some long-ago moment that no longer has meaning. There is a small wooden top, painted with red and yellow stripes that have faded to pastel shades. There is a single feather, gray and soft, perhaps from a pigeon or a dove. There is a smooth stone, round and flat, the kind that would be perfect for skipping across water. I pick up the stone and hold it in my hand, feeling its weight and coolness, running my thumb across its smooth surface. The stone has been worn down by water or handling or time, shaped into this perfect oval by forces I can only imagine. I close my fingers around it and feel its solidity, its quiet presence, the way it exists so completely as itself, simple and unpretentious, and exactly what it is. After a moment, I place the stone back in the drawer among the other small treasures and close the drawer gently, letting it slide back into place with a soft whisper of wood on wood. The attic is full of these small moments, these quiet discoveries. Each object is a reminder of something, a fragment of a time that has passed, a piece of the history of this house and the people who have lived in it. But there is no sadness in this, no sense of loss or mourning. There is only a gentle gratitude, a feeling of being connected to something larger than myself, something that stretches back through the years and holds me in its quiet embrace, linking me to all the other people who have stood in this space, who have touched these objects, who have breathed this air. I find a chair in the corner of the room, tucked beneath the slope of the roof where the ceiling is lowest. It is an old armchair, well used and comfortable looking, with worn upholstery and wooden arms that are dark with age and handling. The fabric of the chair is a faded floral pattern, once bright but now muted to soft tones of rose and cream and green. The seat cushion sags slightly in the middle, shaped by the many bodies that have sat here over the years, and the arms show the wear of countless hands resting on them, the wood polished smooth by touch. The chair is positioned near the circular window, as though someone once sat here to read or think, or simply watch the light as it moved across the room. Draped over the back of the chair is a knitted blanket, thick and heavy, made of wool in shades of cream and gray. The blanket is beautifully made, the stitches even and tight, creating a dense fabric that would be warm and comforting on a cool day. I lift the blanket from the back of the chair and shake it gently, and a small cloud of dust rises into the air and then settles slowly back down. The dust catches the light from the window and glows for a moment before dispersing and disappearing. I fold the blanket loosely and then spread it over the seat of the chair, smoothing it out with my hands, feeling the texture of the wool beneath my palms. I lower myself into the chair slowly, letting my weight sink down into the cushion. The chair accepts me with a soft creak, the springs inside compressing under my weight, and I settle back against the cushioned back. The chair is more comfortable than I expected, surprisingly so. The seat is soft and gives beneath me in a way that feels supportive rather than collapsed, and the back of the chair is angled just right to support my spine without forcing me into an uncomfortable position. The wooden arms are at the perfect height for my elbows to rest on them, and the overall shape of the chair seems designed to cradle a person, to hold them in comfort and safety. I pull the knitted blanket up over my lap, feeling its weight settling across my legs. The wool is thick and warm, and even though the attic is not cold, there is something deeply comforting about the weight and softness of the blanket, the way it covers me and creates a sense of being held, protected, and clothed in warmth. I sit very still in the chair, looking out at the attic, at the shapes and shadows that fill the room. The light from the window continues to change slowly, imperceptibly, the golden glow gradually taking on deeper tones as the sun moves lower in the sky. The beam of light shifts its angle, the shadows on the floor lengthen and merge, and the dust motes drift through their slow dance, rising and falling in the stillness. There is a profound quiet in this moment, a silence that is not empty but full, rich with presence and peace. I can hear small sounds if I listen carefully. There is the faint creaking of the wooden beams above me as they settle and shift with the changing temperature. There is the distant murmur of the wind outside, so soft it is almost imagined, a gentle susurrus that rises and falls in slow waves. There is the sound of my own breathing, slow and steady, filling the quiet spaces between the other sounds. I listen to these sounds without trying to analyze them or assign them meaning. I simply let them exist, let them be part of the larger silence that surrounds everything. My breathing becomes part of this soundscape, another element in the quiet symphony of the attic, and I notice that my breath is beginning to slow, to deepen, to match the rhythm of the space around me. The rocking horse stands near the wall, motionless now, waiting patiently, as it has waited for so many years. The wooden crate with its collection of toys rests beside it. The blocks and the bear and the tin car nested together in their small space. The trunk with its layers of quilts and blankets sits closed in the corner, holding its treasures safe and undisturbed. The shelves with their jars and clocks and photographs line the walls, each object in its place, each one contributing to the larger whole of the room. Everything is exactly where it should be, I realize. There is a rightness to the arrangement of things in this attic, a sense that each object has found its proper place and is content to rest there. Nothing is out of place or wrong or needing to be fixed or changed. Everything simply is, existing in quiet harmony with everything else. I settle deeper into the chair, feeling my body relax, feeling the tension in my muscles beginning to release. My shoulders drop slightly, no longer held tight against my neck. My hands rest loosely on the arms of the chair, my fingers curved gently rather than gripped. My jaw unclenches, and I feel my face softening, the small muscles around my eyes and mouth letting go of the tension they have been holding without my awareness. The blanket across my lap is warm and heavy, and I pull it up slightly higher, tucking it around my waist, feeling the way it settles against me like a gentle weight. The sensation is deeply comforting, like being held or embraced, like the feeling of safety that comes from being surrounded by warmth and softness. I close my eyes for a moment just to rest them, just to let them have a break from the soft light of the attic. Behind my closed lids, I see patterns of light and shadow, the afterimages of the room still present in my vision. These patterns shift and change slowly, fading gradually into a neutral darkness that is restful and soothing. When I open my eyes again, the light in the room has changed noticeably. The golden glow has deepened into something richer and more amber, taking on shades of orange and pink as the sun approaches the horizon. The quality of the light is different now, softer and more diffuse, spreading through the room in a way that seems to wrap around everything, coating the surfaces of objects with a warm glow. The shadows on the floor have grown much longer now, stretching out across the planks in dark lines that merge and blend together. The dust motes are harder to see in this softer light, their dance less distinct, though they continue their endless movement through the air, rising and falling in the gentle currents that flow invisibly through the space. I sit and watch the light change, watching the gradual transformation of the room as afternoon gives way to evening. There is something deeply peaceful about this slow transition, this gradual letting go of the day. The world is not rushing toward darkness, but moving toward it gently, with grace and patience, allowing each moment to unfold in its own time. The sky outside the window is beginning to take on deeper colors now. The bright blue of afternoon has shifted to a softer shade, and near the horizon there are streaks of pink and orange where the sun is beginning its descent. The trees outside are becoming silhouettes, their shapes dark against the colored sky, their individual leaves no longer visible, but merged into a general mass of foliage that moves very slightly in the evening breeze. I can see birds in the distance, small dark shapes moving across the sky in formation, heading toward their roosting places for the night. They fly in a loose V shape, their wings beating in rhythm, and I watch them until they disappear beyond the edge of the window frame, heading toward some destination I cannot see. Inside the attic, the transformation continues slowly and steadily. The light becomes softer and warmer with each passing minute. The shadows grow darker and more merged, and the objects in the room begin to lose their distinct edges, their shapes blurring slightly as they blend into the larger patterns of light and shadow. I feel myself becoming part of this transformation, part of this slow movement toward rest and darkness and sleep. My breathing has slowed even more, each breath taking longer, filling my lungs more deeply and releasing more completely. The rhythm of my breathing matches the rhythm of the room, the slow, gentle pulse of the evening settling over everything. My eyes feel heavy now, weighted by the soft light and the warm comfort of the chair and the blanket. I let them close again, not forcing them to stay open, not resisting the natural desire to rest them. The darkness behind my closed lids is peaceful and welcoming, and I sink into it gratefully, letting go of the need to see, to observe, to take in the world through my eyes. But I can still hear, and the sounds of the attic continue to surround me. The creaking of the beams stopped, and there is only the faint whisper of the wind outside, rising and falling in gentle waves. My own breathing is the loudest sound now, slow and deep and regular, a steady rhythm that anchors me in the present moment. I open my eyes one more time just to see how the light has changed, and I find that the room is now filled with a deep golden pink glow, the last light of the day filtering through the window and spreading through the space like honey. The dust motes are barely visible now, just occasional glints of light in the dimness, and the shadows have merged into large areas of soft darkness that fill the corners and the spaces beneath the furniture. The rocking horse is a silhouette now, its painted details no longer visible, just a basic shape standing patient and still against the wall. The trunk is a dark rectangle in the corner, solid and substantial and calm. The shelves are lines of darkness against the walls, the objects on them reduced to vague shapes and shadows. Everything is settling into the approaching night, letting go of the definition and detail of day, softening into the quiet darkness that comes with evening. And I am settling with it, letting go of my own definition and detail, allowing myself to blur and soften and merge with the larger darkness that is slowly filling the room. I close my eyes again, and this time I let them stay closed. The effort of keeping them open has become too much, and there is no reason to resist the natural pull toward rest and sleep. The world behind my closed lids is dark and soft and welcoming, and I sink into it with a sense of relief and gratitude. The chair holds me gently, supporting my weight without strain or effort. The blanket wraps around me, warm and heavy and comforting. The attic surrounds me with its stillness and its peace, creating a cocoon of safety and quiet that holds me separate from the rest of the world. I can feel my body continuing to relax, muscles I didn't know were tense beginning to let go and soften. My neck releases its hold, my shoulders drop even further, my spine settles more completely against the back of the chair. My hands lie completely relaxed on the arms of the chair, my fingers curved naturally, no tension or holding anywhere. My breathing continues its slow rhythm, each breath a gentle wave that rises and falls without effort or thought. I am not controlling my breathing anymore. It is simply happening, my body knowing what to do, finding its own perfect rhythm without any direction from my mind. The boundary between my body and the chair is becoming less distinct, less clear. I can no longer tell exactly where I end and the chair begins. We seem to be merging together, becoming one thing rather than two separate things. The same is true of the blanket. It no longer feels like something separate that is covering me, but more like an extension of my own warmth, my own softness. Time is moving differently now, or perhaps it has stopped moving altogether. I have no sense of how long I have been sitting in this chair. It could be minutes or hours. The passage of time has become irrelevant, unimportant, just another thing I am letting go of as I sink deeper into this state of rest and peace. The last light from the window is fading now. I can sense this even with my eyes closed. The warm glow that was filling the room is dimming, cooling, becoming something softer and more violet. The day is releasing its hold on the sky, letting the evening take over, and soon the night will come with its darkness and its stars and its deep quiet. But I am not waiting for anything. I am not anticipating what comes next. I am simply here, in this moment, in this chair, in this attic, wrapped in warmth and held by stillness. Nothing needs to happen. Nothing needs to change. This moment is complete in itself, perfect in its simplicity, and I am content to exist within it for as long as it lasts. My thoughts are slowing down now, becoming less distinct, less formed. Ideas rise up briefly, and then fade away before they can fully develop. Images flicker across my mind and then disappear. The constant stream of thinking that usually fills my head is quieting, like a river that is slowing as it approaches a wide, calm lake. I think about the rocking horse just for a moment, seeing it in my mind as it was when I first pushed it, rocking gently back and forth, creating that soothing, rhythmic creak. But the thought doesn't linger. It rises and then fades, replaced by nothing. Just a soft, blank space where thoughts used to be. I think about the marbles in their wooden box, the way they caught the light and scattered it into rainbows. But again, the thought is brief and then gone, dissolving into the larger quiet of my mind. These thoughts are like the dust motes I watched earlier, rising briefly into the light and then falling back into the darkness, drifting without purpose or direction, following currents I cannot control or predict. My breathing continues its slow rhythm, and I notice that I am breathing not just with my lungs, but with my whole body. Each breath seems to fill me from the soles of my feet to the top of my head, a gentle expansion that includes everything, and each exhalation releases from everywhere at once, a soft letting go that empties me completely. The darkness behind my closed eyelids is now complete. There are no more after-images, no more patterns of light and shadow. There is only a soft, velvety darkness that seems to extend infinitely in all directions. I could be in a vast empty space or in a small enclosed space. I cannot tell the difference, and it doesn't matter. The sounds of the attic have faded to almost nothing. The wind outside has died down to complete stillness. The house has settled completely, all its small creaks and groans finished for now. There is only my breathing, and even that sound is becoming softer, more distant, as though I am hearing it from far away rather than from inside my own body. I am drifting now, floating in this soft darkness, held by the chair and the blanket and the stillness of the attic. There is no effort in this drifting, no work or struggle. I am simply letting go, allowing myself to be carried by whatever current exists in this dark, quiet space. The boundary between waking and sleeping has become so soft and blurred that I can no longer distinguish between the two states. Am I awake or asleep? The question arises briefly, but then fades without needing an answer. It doesn't matter which state I am in. Both are peaceful. Both are safe. Both are filled with this same soft darkness and gentle quiet. I feel myself sinking deeper into the chair, or perhaps the chair is sinking with me, both of us moving together into some softer, deeper place. The sensation is not alarming or uncomfortable. It feels natural and right, like settling into water or into soft earth, being held and supported by something larger than myself. The attic still surrounds me. I know this in some distant way, but it also feels very far away now, as though I am separated from it by a soft layer of something, a buffer that keeps the world at a gentle distance. The objects in the room, the rocking horse and the trunk and the boxes and the shelves, all of these things still exist somewhere, but they are not important now. They have faded into the background, become part of the larger stillness that holds everything. My body feels very heavy now, weighted down by gravity or by relaxation or by the simple accumulated tiredness of being. But the heaviness is not unpleasant. It feels good, feels right, feels like the natural state of a body that is completely at rest. My arms and legs feel like they are made of something soft and dense, something that has no desire to move or change or do anything, except remain exactly where they are. The blanket over my lap has become part of this heaviness, adding its weight to mine, and together we form one heavy, soft, warm mass that sinks deeper and deeper into the chair, into the stillness, into the approaching sleep. I take a breath, and it is so slow and so deep that it seems to take forever. The air fills my lungs gradually, expanding them completely, and then the breath releases even more slowly, the air flowing out of me like a gentle tide receding from a shore. When the exhalation is complete, there is a pause, a moment of perfect stillness before the next breath begins. In that pause there is nothing, no movement, no thought, no sensation. Just a quiet, empty space that is somehow full of peace. Another breath begins, rises slowly, fills me completely, and then releases again in that same gentle tide. And again there is the pause, the moment of stillness between the out-breath and the in-breath, a small space of perfect quiet. I am aware of these breaths and these pauses, but I am not controlling them or directing them. They are simply happening, following their own rhythm, their own timing, and I am simply observing them from some distant place, noticing them without being attached to them or concerned about them. Each breath is a small journey, a gentle rise and fall, a tide that comes and goes without effort or struggle. The breath knows what to do, the body knows what to do, and I am simply along for the ride, a passenger on this slow, gentle journey into deeper and deeper rest. The darkness is complete now, total and absolute. There is no light anywhere, not even the faintest glimmer. The sun has set completely, and the night has arrived, and the attic is filled with the deep darkness of a space far from any electric light. But the darkness is not frightening or oppressive. It is gentle and soft, like a blanket or like deep water, surrounding me and holding me with tender care. The darkness has a quality of softness to it, a texture that feels almost tangible. as though I could reach out and touch it, and feel it give slightly beneath my hand. It is a living darkness, not empty but full, containing within it all the quiet rest and peace of the night. The darkness wraps around me like arms, holds me like hands, supports me like solid ground beneath my feet, even though I am sitting in a chair, even though my feet are resting on the floor. The darkness is everywhere and everything, and I am part of it, dissolved into it, becoming one with it in a way that feels natural and right and deeply comforting. In this darkness I can no longer see anything with my physical eyes, but I can still sense the presence of the room around me, the walls and the ceiling and the floor, the objects resting in their places, the rocking horse and the trunk and the chair that holds me. These things exist in the darkness, patient and still, keeping their quiet vigil through the night. I feel a wave of gratitude wash over me, a soft, warm feeling that spreads through my chest and then dissipates like ripples on water. Gratitude for this space, for this chair, for this blanket, for this quiet. Gratitude for the objects that have kept watch here over the years, for the house that has stood firm and solid, for the attic that has provided shelter and safety for so many forgotten things. Gratitude for this moment of peace, this respite from the noise and hurry of the world below. But even this feeling of gratitude fades, dissolving into the larger quiet, becoming part of the stillness. There is no need to hold on to it, or to examine it, or to understand it. It arose, and now it is gone, and that is perfectly fine, perfectly natural, perfectly right. My breathing continues, slow and deep and regular, and I notice that each breath is becoming softer, quieter, less noticeable. The boundary between breathing and not breathing is blurring, just as the boundary between waking and sleeping has blurred, just as all boundaries are blurring and softening and fading into the gentle darkness. I am so deeply relaxed now that I am barely aware of having a body at all. The sensations of weight and warmth and softness have merged into a general feeling of being held, supported, surrounded by something gentle and safe. I cannot feel my individual fingers or toes or any specific part of myself. There is just a vague sense of existing, of being present in this space, and even that sense is becoming softer and less distinct. The sounds have stopped completely now. There is no wind, no creaking, no distant murmurs from the house below. There is only silence, deep and complete and total. A silence so profound that it seems to have substance, to be something tangible that fills the space and presses gently against me from all sides. And in this silence, in this darkness, in this deep stillness, I feel myself finally letting go completely. All the small tensions I have been holding, all the little bits of awareness and attention and concern, all of these are releasing now, flowing out of me like water flowing out of a vessel, leaving me empty and quiet and at peace. I am drifting deeper and deeper now, sinking through layers of stillness, through layers of darkness, through layers of silence. Each layer is softer than the last, more welcoming, more gentle, and I move through them without resistance, without effort, carried by the gentle current of my own letting go. There are no more thoughts now, no more images or ideas or memories. There is just this quiet movement through the darkness, this gentle sinking, this soft descent into deeper and deeper rest. The attic is still there somewhere, holding me in its quiet space. The chair still supports me. The blanket still covers me. But all of these things have faded so far into the background that they are barely perceptible, just vague presences at the very edge of awareness. I am moving beyond the physical world now, beyond the realm of things and objects and sensations. I am moving into a space that is pure rest, pure peace, pure quiet. A space where there is nothing to do and nothing to think about and nothing to be except exactly what I am in this moment. And what I am is simply here, simply present, simply existing in this soft darkness, this deep silence, this profound stillness. There is nothing more needed, nothing more wanted, nothing more to achieve or understand or accomplish. This is enough. This is everything. This is peace. The descent continues, slow and gentle and endless. Deeper and deeper into the stillness, deeper and deeper into the quiet, deeper and deeper into the soft, welcoming darkness that has no bottom, no end, no boundary. Just a gentle sinking, just the soft letting go, just the quiet peace of rest. Just this, just here, just now, just sleep, just peace, just rest. Just this moment, stretching out endlessly in all directions, containing everything and nothing, full and empty at the same time. The breath comes so slowly now that it is almost imperceptible, almost not there at all. Just the faintest movement of air, the smallest expansion and release, barely enough to sustain life, but enough, just enough. And in the spaces between the breaths, in those long, quiet pauses, there is perfect stillness, perfect peace, perfect rest. Nothing moves. Nothing changes. Nothing needs to. The attic holds its vigil in the darkness, patient and still, keeping watch over the sleeping world. The objects rest in their places, the rocking horse and the trunk and the marbles and the quilts, all of them silent and motionless, waiting for nothing, content to simply be. And I rest with them, held by the same stillness, wrapped in the same darkness, filled with the same deep peace. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, no reason to be anywhere except here, in this chair, in this attic, in this moment of perfect quiet rest. The world below is distant and unimportant. The future is far away and irrelevant. The past has faded into the darkness, no longer holding any weight or claim. There is only now, only this, only the soft, quiet darkness, and the gentle stillness and the deep, deep peace of complete rest. Only sleep, only peace, only this endless moment of perfect calm, only rest.